2018 Fairhope Airport Authority meeting in order. First order of business is to approve the minutes from June 19th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion, we approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Meeting.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Did someone have any
Changes?
changes?
Yeah, do you have any changes? I mean,
No, that's something else.
Is somebody taking minutes?
I'll watch it on TV.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
You'll do it.
I'll do it. So I'll watch it on TV. So I will note who. So all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it and pass unanimously. The second thing we've got to do, number two, is approval or acceptance of the FAA grant for $3,255,318 and the ALDOT grant for $180,851. To kind of clean up some loose ends, we're going to actually have a resolution of the board to accept the ALDOT grant. Is that what I'm doing?
No, not specifically. This is, so the city of Fairhope is the airport sponsor from the FAA standpoint. And so the actual grant agreement is in the name of the city of Fairhope as a sponsor. And there is a separate resolution that I guess will be presented to the city council on Monday. The 23rd.
Yes, the 23rd.
On Monday, the 23rd, to formally accept the grant agreement for the final phase of the east side construction. So, but historically, and it'll be the same this year, the authority is the one who provides the 5% match for the airport sponsor share of the grant. And so this is simply a resolution for the authority to approve the payment of the 5% match as for the airport sponsor share of the AIP grant.
Okay, so there's two issues, two separate resolutions. One is I want the authority to go on record accepting the ALDOT money and the FAA money. That's as per agenda item 2. And then I want to have a separate resolution to basically say that we have, to follow Josh's, say that we have the money to provide $180,000. Is that right?
Well, I mean, if you want to have something to accept, to formally accept the grant, I mean, the grant acceptance is going to be the city.
Okay.
But we just have to do that by motion, because I haven't prepared a resolution for that. I mean, the authority's involvement is the payment of the match. So
We'll accept the grant by motion, and then we'll do the resolution after that. Okay, so with this. Okay. All right, so all those in favor of accepting the resolution. Okay, will you make a motion?
Okay, I make a motion to accept the grant monies from the FAA.
And ALDOT.
And ALDOT.
Okay, do I have a second of that
I'll
motion?
second.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the ALDOT money and the FAA money, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, the ayes pass it. The second resolution is to say that we have the matching funds available for this grant, the $180,000. So
that's it, and that's the purpose of the resolution, is to approve the payment of the 5% match for the airport sponsor share of the grant.
okay. So that, will you make that resolution? Make that.
Yes, I'll make the motion to accept the resolution to approve payment of matching funds for the AIP grant number 3-01-0029-2018.
Okay. Can I get a second of someone match of that resolution?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Just wanted as a commentary, these 5% grants are great, but we've spent almost $500,000 matching, over the last, which is a good problem to have, but this is a $180,000 match. We have the money in the bank, but if we were much more successful, we would go broke being successful. So, but we have $540,000 we'll match when this is finished. So, good problem to have, but it still taxes our resources.
The 540 includes the 180.
Includes the 180, yes, sir. Hank, I got an email this morning from Tammy about about this new pot of money that's for $1 billion. Is there any is there any chance that we would get some of that made up?
There is a chance. What it is, it's 100% match money.
Yep.
So there's no participation for what they classify as a non-primary airport. Primary airports are the Mobile Regional, Birminghams and such. Fairhope is listed as a non-primary airport. The issue with Fairhope and Foley and several other airports is that they land in what they call a micropolitan.
We're in a micropolitan, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so it takes them off the priority list. This 100% grant money, this $1 billion, is being set aside for what they classify as airports outside of micropolitan or metropolitan area. It's not to say that Fairhope's not eligible, it's just that they're not gonna have a high ranking in the priority list. My recommendation is that we submit to do the rehab of the apron.
Yep.
Because we have a
That's
fire problem.
exactly what I was.
Submit for it, it's no reason why and all you have to do is basically we just need to put an email together, cover some certain pieces of criteria that they wanna know, and justify why we need it, and then what you plan to do with entitlement monies, which is seek reimbursement for the land acquisition, for the east side development, try to seek reimbursement for that, so that's good information. And we'll submit it and see whether or not they give it to you. I mean, you got nothing to lose.
If we don't submit it, we won't,
Yeah, you won't get nothing. You
Yeah.
gotta turn in something, for sure. So, I mean, I'm advising every airport that I deal with to submit something. We need to put a plan together and submit for something.
Well, the essence of what I would like to see done, the next thing on our to-do list was those aprons, repaving the aprons and taxiways.
Yeah.
And that's, we could scope that out, and I think it was $425,000 last time I
Yeah,
looked.
it's around $500,000 to do that. And that was just one piece of the apron. That's just a section in front of the FBO back to the fire department.
I'd really rather have it towards the T hangers.
And we can scope something out and make a recommendation for all of it.
That's
Mine as well. I mean, it's 100% money, and you don't get anything unless you make a request, and it's a simple request. You're not filling out a grant application. It's a simple email with specific target points.
When's it due?
I think September
15th.
Yeah, or it's October something, October 30th. There's two, if we had a project on the shelf, like ready to bid out or something, you know what I mean? Then you could rush something in for what they call the first deadline. But we don't have anything, so you've already got discretionary money for the east terminal area development. So there's like one airport that I deal with, we had a set of plans on the shelf that they didn't fund last year, and they were not gonna fund this year. Then this supplemental $1 billion came about. Well, it puts them right in the wheelhouse to go out and seek bids and take a chance and see if they can get the 100% money. But the second deadline is the one that we come up for. Make the request this year to get 100% match money next year, then you follow up in November with a pre-app for that.
Well, what makes sense to me is that we've already mobilized for the taxiway, for the putting the asphalt on the taxiway, and if you had the same contractor was lucky enough to win this bid, I mean, their mobilization cost would be cheap, would be less.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't have a project to give them right now.
We could get one though.
No, you'd have to have the
Oh,
bid
yeah.
designed and ready to submit a grant by August 31st.
Okay.
Which
Well,
there's no way for us to even advertise and do a set of plans and,
So what is your recommendation?
Recommendation is for us to go in for the second deadline for FY 2019 with a project to rehab the aprons on the west side
Okay.
and seek that 100% discretionary money. And then at the same time, pursue your entitlement funds for reimbursement of the land. So you'll turn in one grant for the land reimbursement, which would use your entitlement funds to pay back the loan, and then seek the 100% money to rehab the apron. So you basically have two grants, one for the supplemental discretionary that they're talking about, and then one standard grant for, pay back the loan, seeking your entitlement money.
Can we get a motion to that effect from the board to move forward with this? Because I'd hate to miss this train.
I I don't know that you actually need one. Like I say, it's a simple, just put together request and just say, hey, we wanna make a request to go after it. And then let them come back and say, yeah, you're approved to move forward. That's all.
So Kevin would give us kind of a nod if he thought we had a
You would
chance.
actually send
Okay,
that request to the ADO, and then he would just send it up. And if they come back and say, yeah, we feel like your project's justified, then you need to move forward. And at that point, you just move right into the pre-app in November, which is the same kind of pre-app you're gonna do anyway.
So the email's not committing to anything.
No,
It's
no, no,
simply
no.
saying
You're
we'd like to
actually
have.
requesting to
Okay.
be, all you're doing is requesting to be considered.
Okay.
Is really all we're doing. So you're not committing yourself to accepting anything or anything like that.
Right.
well, I would like to recommend you go forward with that then.
Yeah, that's fine. I have every intention on putting something together for sure.
Okay.
And then getting it to you guys in plenty of time that we can just submit up and see what happens. Like I say, I think the priority is gonna be more in those other airports, and I can't remember how many there were in Alabama, but there were quite a few.
Sure.
But it's
Okay.
not only that money's being split up nationwide as well, so it's,
All right.
we'll just have to see, but it's worth a shot.
And I think that's a good thing. All right, so anyway, I apologize for our diversion, if you will. Okay, the next issue is, number 4, is approval of a west side stream mitigation project.
I think it's the approval of the changes to the lease, number 3.
Oh, okay, all right. Next number is 3. So, number 3 is approval of the changes to the lease. Josh?
Sure. So this is for the board's consideration. We have had a delay in getting the signed copy of the lease back from the state of Alabama. And Philip Upshaw tracked it down, and when he tracked down the lease, it was with the Office of Lease Management, I think.
Yep.
And the hangup there is one small provision of the lease where the lease that was approved by the board stated that in the event of a holdover, which would be 10 years from now, or 9 years and some months, in the event of a holdover at the expiration of the lease, the rent would be 125% of the current monthly rent, whatever it would be at that time. Apparently, there are now internal policies and procedures with the Office of Lease Management to where they will not allow for such a provision in a lease for the state. So the maximum is just 100% of the monthly rent at that point in time. So, in theory, you catch the fact that the lease term is coming up and you negotiate a new one before it expires. So this doesn't even come into play. But in any event, the maximum that the Office of Lease Management will approve so that the lease can go through is 100% of the current rent at that point in time versus the 125% that's in the lease. So what we have is a simple resolution that would, in essence, modify the lease from the board's perspective to simply change 125% to 100% in the one part of that lease where it appears.
I make the move, we make that change as outlined in the resolution.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed, okay, the ayes have it. This has been a challenge, if you will. And we still got to get the governor to sign it too. So I think we're only 2/3 of the way through the process, but this helps.
So do
Aye.
both Joe and I need to sign this original?
Yes, if you would sign that, and I will email that to Philip Upshaw.
Okay. All right, then the fourth item is the approval of the West Side Stream Mitigation Project at approximately $11,000 an acre, or $330 a linear foot. This was, I think we tabled it last month because we didn't know what the cost was per linear foot or what our profit was per linear foot, but $330, I've been working with Lee Walters on this, and that's kind of what it is. Now, we don't have this project yet, but we will know by probably Wednesday or Thursday whether we actually win it this time or not. So, So what I'd like to do is get this approved so that that we can go forward with this. I'm going to
Need a
motion.
motion? I'll make a motion that we vote to approve the West Side Stream Mitigation Project.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of of going forward with this mitigation project, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it. And if I can get more than 11,000, for an acre, I mean, 11, 12, or 13 have been taught, so I picked a low number, so I don't have to come back to the board, but I think we can get, and the way I look at this is just free money. I mean, there's nothing you can do with those 6 or 7 acres other than, have ducks, on them or whatever, okay? All right, number 5 is an item that I'm surprised that Richard Peterson's not here. But he brought up, I'll see if I can give you an overview. There's a pumping station down at the airport on the corner of 32 and 98. And the last time, I guess probably all spring, when it rains excessively, that pumping station overflows, and Fairhope has a continuing problem of infiltration of their sewer system, and this is one of the sources of that pumping station. So Richard approached me about doing a regional water retention pond to take water off of that. And basically, that was his idea. This would be one of the ways they could solve a city problem of water backing up into their pumping station. And I think, it's the same, it's basically the same concept as a wetland mitigation bank. Lee Lawson said there was some grant money to do this. So anyway, long story, not Lee Lawson, but Lee Walter said there was some grant money to do this. But, this is kind of where it all, y'all know now as much as I do, this is just something that's been some preliminary discussions. I think conceptually it's a pretty good idea. Again, we make something that has no value now to something that has value. So anyway, I just wanted everybody to be aware of it. So if Richard's not here to advocate it, we just kind of leave it where it is. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. The next item, number 6, is development of a request for proposal for East Side Hangar ground leases. That's kind of what we're about. I mean, we've gotten this money for the East Side. We think we'll let the contract in September.
As soon as, once this grant approval or grant offer is accepted, what we need to do is just wait for AlDOT to get everything into the system so that the money can be reached and requested, which should take, I'd say 30 days from the time we get the grant offer up there to those guys, and then after that, then you can make notice to proceed, cut the contractor loose, so probably take them 10, 15 days to get a performance bond, a labor materials bonds, and then get you guys to execute.
So certainly by the 1st of October.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think realistically, I think we're talking 1st of September. I think it's doable.
Okay. Well, then where I'm coming from is I'd like to do, working with Josh, do a request for proposal, get one prepared for those 5 slots, hangar slots that are there now. Send it out for, basically, send it to, we'll have to advertise it, do whatever, and then we'll send it selectively to people we have expressed an interest. And we'll see if we get, the idea is we want to get ground leases for these hangar slots. That's what this is all about. So I guess, I'd like the board's approval or blessings, if you will, to move forward with this. And certainly you'll have another chance to look at it when we actually get the RFP ready, I guess, in August to go forward. But you'll see it then to have a chance to review it. So any questions? Part of this is having the minimum standards redone or an accepted position that, because the RFP will reference the minimum standards.
Okay, so we've got to finish up those.
Yeah.
It's Vince and Ray that have been working on the construction aspect of those minimum standards.
Yeah, one thing we
Yeah.
probably will need to just discuss at some point is, are we gonna have a minimum size? I mean, we had the 100 by 100 plots, but some people may want to build a 60 by 60 hangar, so.
Well, that's a decision. What I would do is, my recommendation is we lease the spots, and then if they want to subdivide it or whatever, I mean, I'm in leasing, I'm doing ground leases for half-acre slots. That, to me, makes the most
So they
sense.
just lease the land. and
Lease the
then
land, and they get a
whatever they
partner,
wanna
to-
build,
then with a partner, to-
yeah.
you know, and then we'll capture whether we like what they're doing in our architectural review committee. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they wanna put, five hangars on that once, we might not wanna do that, we may wanna, okay. Josh, what do you think?
I think it needs to be objective in the minimum standards so that they know going into it what they will and won't be able to do. It just has to be uniform. And I think the Architectural Review Committee will play an important role in reviewing what the proposal is, but there need to be certain basic objective ground rules. So like you said, I mean, 5 hangars on one
Yeah.
100 by 100 footprint, probably not a good idea, but we need to specify
Well,
that.
I think we'd be okay with 2. I mean, right now that, those new ones that were built were, on basically half-acre lots, and they were 100 by 100. I think I'd be okay with 2 50 by 50 hangars on one half-acre,
You could, if we look at the plat over towards the east side of the ramp where they're T-hangers, there are some spaces for.
There's some spaces in the back, I mean,
Which would be for about 50 by 50 size hangers
Yeah.
also, so.
and
So
there is a spot on the back for T hangers.
Mhm. There's a
And we
spot
can-
back there, but there's also some spot for some box hangers,
Okay.
which would probably be about that size.
I don't think we're clever enough to write an RFP that will cover everything. I think we should be in the land business and let individuals bring what they will to us. I mean, so anyway, it's some work, but I think that's what we need to do, is the next
I
step is
agree.
to do it. So no approval of the board, I'm just telling everyone kind of what the next step is as far as on the,
Well, I
yes.
think we should get with Vince and Ray that they have the construction done, the construction standards done by next meeting.
I couldn't agree more, and an architectural review committee formed, or should be referenced in the minimum standards.
Yes.
And I guess the elephant in the room is the minimum standards have to have something that, if we don't like what's being proposed, that we have a way to say this doesn't
Yeah.
fit what we're.
Actually, the current minimum standards say that everything is subject to the airport authority's approval,
Okay.
and that we do have
Yeah.
that right.
It's broad discretion,
Yes.
to be sure, but
Very
it's
broad.
always helpful to be able to point to a written regulation, say, here's why.
Yeah,
And point to the paragraph and line number that says, okay, this doesn't comply, here's why we are not in favor of a particular request, so.
Okay,
And there's flexibility, or there should be some flexibility within that, but like I said, the basic, minimum standards need to be there so that people know what they're getting into when they make a bid for one of these spots.
okay.
okay. And then if anybody has, over the last year and a half, I probably have 7 or 8 email addresses of people that have contacted me about about building hangars. And if anybody has any of those people that are, that are interested, I'd like to, one, we'll advertise it. I mean, we'll get it out there. But secondly, I think it works better if you actually send somebody, this is what we're doing. I mean, I don't think that hurts. Is that a problem, Josh?
No,
Specific-
as long as, I'm always in favor of the public advertising and
Yeah.
sending it to different locations, Birmingham, Huntsville, those types of larger municipalities, so that because you never know who could want a hangar down here. But yeah, I mean, there's no problem sending it directly to people who have expressed interest either.
Okay. All right, so that was just for discussion. Number 7 is, Chip, you want to talk about the General Aviation Alliance Regional Airport Managers Forum?
Yes, on August 16th, the General Aviation Alliance will be sponsoring a forum at the Community College building on the airport. And they're having 3 this year, one in the north part of the state, which was in Scottsboro. We're going to do this one in Fairhope in August, and shortly thereafter one for the middle part of the state in Tuskegee. And the first one was very successful. It's basically broken up into 2 halves. The first half is more of a presentation on the economic benefits and what general aviation airports bring to local economies, with a couple of guest speakers. I think Dr. Egerton is going to be one of them. This girl, Amy Brabham, who is the Economic Development at Prattville. She's got a pretty strong presentation she gives on what that airport has brought to that community. I've heard her presentation before, and it's pretty impressive. And then we break for lunch, and then the second half is more of a forum among the regional, or the airports in the South region, their managers, to talk about discussions about issues that they have.
Do you go as far as Dothan? Dothan
I
will
don't, Dr. Egerton will give us a list.
So he'll
of
do-
who to
he'll-
ask. He gives us, he comes out with the guest list, who
Okay.
to ask.
Okay.
So I've already notified all the airport management for everyone in Baldwin County, and you
And
sent
I-
a save
and I-
the date.
And I sent a save the date to the mayor, the city council members, Casey.
Well, I suggested you should invite Casey Williams, as president of the chamber, and
Mhm.
also the Sarah Siskel and Jennifer Fiddler of the Metropolitan.
But we invite, I didn't add.
Planning.
we
Yeah, I
invite-
added those,
Well, I
Pam sent me
Jennifer,
those, I
okay.
added those to
So-
the list.
But I mean, it is, should be by invitation only, not just, what, but I think we'll have a good group.
Yeah, thanks.
Sure, I invited Sherry Lee. I mean, she said she was on it. No, Karen said Mayor Wilson said she was gonna come, so,
And the Industrial Development Board too, I think.
well, they're, you can track them down, that's good,
Well, I'll go.
So
I have
Bob
a-
General would be a good
I need
one,
to,
yeah.
I'll get with you, and Joe sent me a list, and then I added yours.
Bob General was not on my list. Bob General ought to be on,
Okay,
Yeah.
and I'll add that to.
And Lee Webb, he's the heir apparent.
Oh, okay, sounds good. Anyhow, that's,
Well, it'll be a good event. We'll do whatever we need to make it successful.
I appreciate
we-
y'all's help, because
We appreciate Volker's contribution to make it
stepping up,
successful.
Yeah.
helps us, the invitation will have their logo on there,
Good.
so.
All right, number 8, Chip.
Okay, Vince and I talked, and Will and I have talked about our airport authority officers. I think the general consensus is, with the big project going on and our faith in our senior leadership, that the chair and the co-chair positions stay the same until the project's done. Ray would like to step down as treasurer, and we have a person that's showed an interest on our advisory committee that would be well qualified as a treasurer, and we still have to, I guess, talk to that person to make sure they would be interested. But I approached Josh on the possibility of having someone that's not on the board as a treasurer.
Sure. That, so the state code, the enabling legislation for the authority says that is perfectly fine. No prohibition. The chairman, vice chairman, and secretary all have to come from among the membership of the board, but the treasurer can be a non-board member. However, when the bylaws were written and adopted, the bylaws state that the treasurer shall be a member of the board. So, certainly fine with, we can, the bylaws can be amended, since that would conform with the enabling legislation, to state that the treasurer does not necessarily need to be a member of the board. So
May, but.
May,
does
but is not
right.
required to.
Right.
So just a simple tweak there. If that's the direction the board wants to go, we can formalize that and just amend the bylaws.
Okay, we just need to make sure this person is interested. I think from reading their resume that they would bring a lot to the table for.
We certainly need some support in the financial area. So that's your report. So what's your recommendation? That we go forward and vote on this group in August? Go.
So, who do you recommend for the secretary?
We're
For
going,
Ray to stay as secretary, is that what
it's always been a kind of a secretary treasurer position. We've never had that fourth officer. I'm not sure I don't know, Josh.
Well, the secretary does need to be a board member. So to the extent that the bylaws kind of scrunch that into one position, we're just going to need to separate it out. But we do need to have the secretary that comes from the membership of the board and have the
Okay.
treasurer under a separate heading, if you will,
Okay.
that does not need
Do
necessarily.
we have to have a secretary?
We should have a secretary.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I believe it's in the bylaws, you must have.
You got to have somebody to attest to
Right.
things.
Thank you. That's very thoughtful.
I've just been through that with another organization.
Well, guys, you need to find a secretary.
Okay.
In this
Cool.
august body, somebody needs to step up and be a secretary.
All right. You and I, Vince, will talk. Go twist some arms.
And, and the troubling thing is, and I sent out this is, we've got 7 members of the board, and in March of 2019, four of our 7 members have expired, terms have expired. So that's troubling. I mean, we have a
One or
board,
two, I thought it was just two.
well, 2's already expired.
Yeah, okay, but
So
we'll
we
have a total of
we
4,
have- we have
two more,
four- we
two
have
more
four.
in March.
We have
yeah.
4.
Yeah, total.
So that's a troubling trend.
Mhm.
It really will just be Jack and I, at some point in time.
But you'll still need a secretary.
We don't, we'll run out of slots, but we're just, it's just not the way it should be, so. So we need some new blood and some new people to step up and take leadership positions. All right, I don't see anybody here from Continental.
Well, I can at least comment on the
Okay.
cameras.
I'd like to hear that, that's good for you.
David Shear, met with Abe Harper and they discussed as they said they were going to do. And the outcome was that, David was gonna send over a copy of the map floor plan that outlines the area where the cameras are needed, coverage is desired. Recommendation was that information be assembled into a structured list of needs and wants and then offered for bid. The static considerations would be the type of cabling needed as well as the ability to use multiple viewer locations without additional incurred cost. They also discussed introducing a retention of data requirement as well as an ability to expand the system to include access control. The general consensus was that the previously provided proposal had been carved as lean as possible, but still had a very high price point considering the amount of site labor needed to be provided out of the scope of work included. And they are hoping to be, they got the rough drawing, and they're hoping to be able to actually reconnect this afternoon.
Okay, now, having said that, what kind of number are we talking about?
Well,
Ballpark,
they're going to give me that after this
okay?
meeting here. But
then
they
the other part of
pointed
it-
out, but what our, Abe had pointed out to us is that in the previous proposal, for what they were providing, we would have to be maintaining it and providing a large part of the labor. So for actually what they were quoting for the prices and so forth were quite high.
Well, I mean, and I guess there's 2 parts to that question. One,
So probably they're trying to get it down, at least to get what we get, not going over what we previously stated as
which is, I'm thinking around $15,000 is what we've committed.
for the airport, but of course CMS is,
Yeah.
they've
I mean,
got their
I really think that's some
Yeah.
kind of this is a real benefit to Continental Motors.
So that's what we're kind of working
Okay,
on.
I'm okay with, I don't
I mean, they
know.
benefit as much as we benefit, if not
Right,
more from it.
so when,
They benefit more,
we get the update, we'll forward.
because I would think they would have FAA requirements that they have monitoring in shops for avionics and things like that, and
Oh, yeah.
so, I'm all about this, but I just, my sense of it is kind of like getting away from us a little bit, as far as price, so.
And we're trying to keep the price down.
Okay. Everything else, I talked with David Shear about the security lights. He's got them in, he's bought the security lights, he just hadn't got an electrician yet to put them in. That's number D. Ceiling, paving, taxiways, and aprons. Hank's gonna get that done for us in September.
I'll try.
$450,000, that's good. Still working on, I've actually, Joseph Baggett is out there. He's called the Navy. I mean, he's trying to get this fuel contract. I mean, I'd say it's 40, 60, about where we are, but at least he's trying, so I felt pretty good about that.
Has he got the paperwork to submit?
He's got the paperwork, and he's actually brought in his fuel vendor, his like Phillips 66 guy, who's helping him do it. So that's
Okay.
Yeah, World Fuels, I think,
World
so he has, and he said they're doing most of the paperwork for him, the groundwork, so they're.
I mean, I guess that makes sense because they sell fuel.
Mhm.
Two other things. I had a conversation with the Bone Contracting today, and I was told by the September 15th, they would move the dumpster and the portalet.
Okay.
I mean, it's been there 3 years. But they said they would be through they said they'd be through this week. But he committed to moving the dumpster and the portalet by September 15th.
When they are done, we need to remember to get their final construction totals for the depreciation schedule under the lease.
Okay. I don't think we want to know
Just
that.
another box to check off, but we need to make sure we
So-
get that information. Ray already gave it to Ray, provided that.
So we need the final, okay. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
it's a list of things. I mean, I
Okay.
don't have it from memory. It's in the lease of the things they're supposed to provide
Okay.
to substantiate their final construction cost, so that we know what the depreciation schedule is under the.
And one of the things, if I get hit by a train, we don't send invoices out for those ground leases, but I did call Ray and Alan last week, and they just forgot. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Everybody pays off invoices, and I think Alan's was due the 1st of June, and Ray's was due the 1st of July. As far as, so, I mean, they were late. I feel like the check will be here shortly, but that's about $6,000, it's $12,000.
Yeah.
But I mean, it says in the lease very clearly, we don't send out invoices, and, they've had some change in management, Morgan going and, and whatever, okay? One more thing which is not on here is the reoccurring intermittent lights as far as on the landing lights. You want to talk, I want to carry that forward you want to talk through that?
Well, I know I had a call from someone coming at night in the runway lights where you activate them by microphone activation, whether you want them low or medium or bright intensity. And he was coming in and he clicked the mic 7 times and they came on and went off right away. So, and it was at night. So Kyle went out and checked them the next day and they were fine. And it is, it's, I forgot what Kyle thinks it is, but it's not a transformer, but I forgot exactly the technical term, but he thinks he has an idea what it is, and it's just an intermittent issue.
So I had a conversation with Kyle Sunday. One, we've issued a NOTAM we've issued one and renewed it once, so there is a NOTAM out there. And secondly, Kyle, we use Smith Electric out of Pensacola for complicated circuitry problems, and we think it's in this, well, we don't know, but we think it's in this one circuit, so we're going to replace the circuit. So, but it is intermittent and you can't always make it work. So it's frustrating, but we're aware of it and we're trying to work through it, so. Okay? Anything else? Anybody want to add anything?
Question, anybody?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm Don Lagarde, resident of Fairhope. I'm part of the Gone Pro Flying Club out there. And a lot of the things that I was going to mention had been discussed, especially the lighting. I was flying last week and the taxi lights were on in the middle of the day. So maybe someone's aware of that, maybe not.
Well, we think what happens with that is they're not on a light sensor, so they don't not activate in the daytime.
Right.
But we think what it is with all the Navy flying in the traffic pattern, they end up keying the microphone enough when they're transmitting that it activates the lights. And if you wait 15 minutes, they go out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I've had calls, well, we go out there in the middle of the day and all the lights are on, we get a power bill, but they're not on a sensor. So I think because I'm not sure if it's a requirement that they're not on a sensor, because if you're coming in the daytime but you have poor visibility conditions, you still need to activate the runway lights, shooting an instrument approach.
And another small issue, one of our members twisted his knee in that ditch by the state troopers helicopter hangar. So if you all could help with that little wooden bridge right there, that would be greatly appreciated.
That little wooden bridge is gonna be as hard to build as the bridge over Mobile Road.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how to do it. I mean, if you've got anybody, you know,
Yeah, I'm a home builder, and I've got some handy guys that can build it out of treated wood for you.
Because I think the problem was Vince looked into it, and it's supposed to be,
handicap
has to be
accessible or.
handicap accessible, and
That's
we've
not
got,
an issue, just make it wide and don't have a lip on it. I don't think that's an issue.
If you could help us with it, I mean, it's not,
That'd
we'll,
be great.
yeah, it would be great.
I'd be honored to help you. I've served on these boards before. I know the pay is really high. But I want to thank you all for the time you put in. Just wanted to say that. You talked about the FOD on the ramps. I think that's a ceiling issue.
yes.
Right.
It is
Well,
that-
we do have we did spend a lot of money to buy a FOD catcher. Is that not, I've heard that's doing better. I mean, I've
Yeah,
been
Joe,
told.
Joe Baggett's been doing it, and it goes by, and I've had a lot of compliments that it's a lot better. It's not perfect, but yeah, they are on a regular basis sweeping the ramps and the taxiways. And I've noticed I've got a hangar down at the south end, and usually there's about a half inch of sand, and it's not there anymore. So
I'm
that
not
is,
flying jets, so I'm personally not too worried about it. But anyway, I was just asked to bring that up. And I think maybe potentially working on the ceiling. I think we sealed hangar 17. There's 4 strips. I believe 1 was done. So I've just got my marching orders.
no, I agree with that, because I've got a hangar, my problem's resolved, all the rubber's just falling down.
We
There's
bid this
nothing
out,
else.
it was $700 a hanger, and that's just too much.
Yeah.
So, you know,
2 months rent.
too much, too much, and it should be Continental's, you know, they're getting the rent for it too.
Well, that was mentioned, exactly, it's Continental's liability probably. But anyway, who would I connect with on this little bridge that you want built? Who's my liaison?
I'll do it, or Chip,
I'll talk to you afterwards, and
Sure.
we can work together on
All right,
it.
thank you.
Okay.
we would really appreciate that, that would be,
That's great.
that'd be
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Treasurer's report, I'll give the treasurer's report if that's okay. In the financial statements in June, what I did is I did a little something different. I was concerned, or I am concerned about having the matching money, and the, you know, we have a big principal payment due in September, and actually did a cash flow projection, and we're fine. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, we should be okay. We've got ample cash. We should have, you know, we had $600,000 3 years ago. Now we have, our new kind of base is around 350, but we're okay. So that doesn't give me pause anymore. You know, we really haven't had any real, you know, this year's been a pretty light year as far as things breaking. So we've done okay there. We have a $75,000 principal reduction in September, which we should make, you know, redoing that debt at 2% really has helped. And we
The amount of our principal payment again is what did you say?
it's $175,000, I prepaid $100,000. So, and so we're okay. How to say this? I got an audit fee, the last portion of the treasury report, the city, we're part of the city's audit, and the city paid a lot of money for their audit this year because they changed auditors as part of the mayor's clean sweep. And we got an audit bill for a lot of money, $10,000, which I thought was a lot of money considering the city's was only $60,000. I mean, so they asked us to pay, you know, basically a lot of their audit fee. So we do have a special need because we have to get a single purpose audit for the grants administration. That's a federal government. We had a $400,000, we had a $3.5 million grant, you know, in 2016 that was part of what they had to reconcile. So I would like to encourage the board to, I mean, I'd like to go ahead and pay that audit fee because it's just not worth fighting over. But next year, we're gonna be much more engaged in the audit process, and I'm only gonna pay our fair share of the audit. I mean, I just think just sticking it to us is just not that's not right. But I mean, I think that's just too much to pay for an audit fee for. I mean,
Was there some rationale on the split?
We're 1% of the revenues and 0.5% of the expenses of the city. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean,
Yeah, and time-wise, did they keep a time clock on it?
I asked them for that, and I got it, and it was high. I mean, it was over what they asked us to pay, but, I mean, the city's was double. I mean, the city, they were triple what they said in their audit engagement letter. A lot of what it was because there was a startup, and they had to basically go in and reinvent the wheel. So I understand that, but, anyway, so I'm gonna recommend that we pay that $10,000 and put a happy face on it and go forward. But next year, we're gonna be way more engaged and be part of the audit process. And we're not, I mean, that's, we should pay something, but we shouldn't pay $10,000.
How was it determined? I mean, did it?
Karen made it, they just made it up.
So I
And
just wanted to
other
be-
agencies that are similar to us didn't have any charge. So, anyway,
Wait, so there wasn't any backup documentation or anything for this $10,000 figure?
I know I've got
Just
documentation. I can share the hours they said they put into it, whatever. But, I mean, ours compared to what the cities were was much less. And they did have to, the single audit is pretty burdensome. And they have to go back and check all of the, we had to write an audit policy, but we wrote it. They didn't write it, we wrote it, there was lots of things. They had to check all of Oakridge draws and whatever, but, they checked them, but there was no problem. There wasn't a problem. I don't know. So,
What was the total audit bill?
$78,000.
78.
Yeah.
And we were asked to
Pay 10, yes.
So it's more than 10%.
About 15%.
Well, I think we were blindsided, but let's pay it.
And just go on, put a happy face on it and go
Yeah.
on. That's nice, okay? All right, any other business, Pam? Don't you have a couple of things you want to talk about?
Yes, I do. Do you need a vote to go ahead and expend that $10,000?
Not really. I don't, okay, yeah. Okay, thank you. Let's put a motion, can I have a motion to pay the audit fees for 2016, 2017?
I make a motion that we pay the requested $10,000 of the total $78,000 audit fee, but be more involved next year on the
Engagement,
front end.
yes.
To the extent of putting a cap,
Well,
a percentage?
I think we sit down with them next year and just talk about it. I think being involved early on is fair. But, just in perspective, I used to run a national bank and our audit fees were only $10,000. That's a lot. I know that's 8 years ago, but
We look at a lot of audit reports in mergers and acquisitions, and 78 is pretty healthy.
for some place that doesn't have any,
Yeah.
it has no pimples.
Mhm.
So, do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of paying the audit fees for 2016, 2017, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank y'all. Now, other business.
All right, as I discussed at the last meeting, it was back in December or January that we agreed to establish an advisory pool of people. And we have been recruiting, and we've used the web, and we've used social media and word of mouth and so forth. And so I sent out to you all a list of people so far that we had listed specific needs in finance, accounting, economic development, business recruiting, marketing, technology, IT management, architectural design, and event management. We've had some excellent responses, and have met with these people, and I sent the list out to you all with short bios. Did you all get it?
Yes.
Okay, look it over.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm proposing 6 people. And does anyone have any questions about any of these individuals or concerns?
I think they're exceptional, and I think they only foster what we're trying to do. They're good, they're not good, they're not just aviation folks. They're
But
people.
they all have something to offer.
They all have something to offer.
And they've all agreed that they would serve for a one-year period. Continuing to get people volunteering, but at least the meeting was coming up when we get these settled. So I believe we agreed to vote on it, so I am putting a motion forward to approve the 6 people I have listed: Amy Pearson, Abe L. Harper Jr., Ben Montgomery, Alan Beck, David Keller, and Matt Walcock to be members of the Fairhope Airport Authority Advisory Pool of Volunteers. May I have a second?
I'll say.
Okay.
I think those are great.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
They all look good. I
They
mean,
all look
it's-
good.
It's
Yeah.
encouraging that,
Yeah.
people that caliber are willing to step up and work with us.
Fairhope
Did
is
most of
traditionally,
them come off of the website? I'm just wondering how many people are reading the website.
Three came out of the webs, of the social media posting, and,
Okay.
yeah.
Meaning the website or elsewhere? too?
Well, not only the website, but I had it posted on what's happening in Fairhope and, specific
okay.
Facebook sites
Mhm.
that our people here are active on, very
Yeah.
active on.
Okay.
And so about half and half.
when we do accept the grant, can you do a Facebook post or something like that telling the world?
Absolutely.
Is that appropriate, Hank, to do it when we accept the grant, or when should we do a Facebook post?
I would wait till the money's actually there where you could grab it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that way something doesn't go wrong.
Okay.
The official word is that once they make the offer and then you accept by executing it, it's pretty much a done deal. But they haven't pulled the money down from Washington
Okay.
for you to get yet. It takes about 20 to 30 days for that to occur.
Any other new business?
Not new business, but
Or
I'd just
business?
like to clarify, so did we agree that we are going to amend the bylaws to separate secretary and treasurer? Did we agree to that?
Well,
I always sort of informally agreed.
I thought we agreed not to have a secretary.
You gotta have one.
Let's have a secretary.
I think-
No, I mean, I can prepare a very simple amendment, and
Okay.
then it can be put to the board for a vote.
Okay,
So you agree or not agree, let's just prepare the draft, and then at the next meeting, we can put it to the board for a vote. And,
okay.
it's simply saying that the the treasurer may, but need not necessarily be a member of the board.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody from the audience have anything they want to add? Okay. I have one more piece, one more kind of item. This is very preliminary, but I'm meeting. I've had one preliminary meeting with a girl named Stacy McKean, and Stacy McKean is a grant writer for the city of Fairhope. And the idea is that what we want to do is right now we have $250,000 that we've been promised. We want to secure funding to build a general aviation terminal. And right now we have a commitment from the State Aeronautics Department for $250,000. We have about $150,000 in the bank that we set aside for that. So we're probably $300,000 to $350,000 short. And I would like to, I'm gonna meet with her. I don't know what but she's a grant writer. She moves in, different circles than I do, with the idea that she could help us find ways to find that other $350,000, either corporately or maybe from grants from even some of the cities from the Eastern Shore. So there's no action. I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. But again, my vision is for next year this time to be well under construction for general aviation for the east side.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
I recall several months ago, and I don't remember when, the board agreed to set aside a certain amount of money each month just to kind of go into the kitty is that added up to?
Yes, it's not there yet, but it's 80,000 now.
Okay.
And I'm really good with numbers, so that, you add $10,000 each month. you know, that we get the
A
hundred
few
fifty.
$1,000.
We get to 150,000 by January, you know, and that's when I'd stop, you know, so that that would give us, I mean, that'd be a nice little piece of change to come to the table with.
Okay.
And you know, I think there are people out there. We've had conversations. I mean, we're not there yet, but I mean, I think we can come up with $300,000 within this community to build something we can all be proud of. Okay. Anything else? Okay, we'll adjourn the meeting at
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn at 5 minutes till 5.
I second that motion.
Oh, I just did.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Pam.
That's
I'm
all right.
a little stir crazy. Thank you, Josh.